Morning. How are we all doing? Awesome, awesome. Well, welcome back to the second day of the Aspen Forum on Children and Families. We are so delighted to have over 300 people joining us here in person and then over 800 online. So those on the West Coast that are joining bright and early, thank you for that. We deeply appreciate it. Again, my name is Marjorie Sims, and I'm Managing Director at Ascend at the Aspen Institute, and it is my honor to be able to do this work in support of all of the work that you all are doing. A few quick logistical details before I begin. We are using Slido for audience Q&A and polling. And just so that you're aware, there will be a poll part of my remarks. So there's a QR code that you will need to use. We'll put it up on the screen, but just so that you're aware. And if you really want to engage in this conversation, please use hashtag AFCF as part 23 as part of your social media presence. So yesterday was a full day, but it was a half day. Today is a whole full day, and we are ready for you. But before I really launch into a few remarks, I want to remind you that yesterday, Sarah Haight, who's Ascend's director for 2Gen Practice, reminded us that we need to acknowledge the ancestral land on which we are gathering. We recognize the Nunkatak, or Anacostan people, and the Piscataway people, who were the original inhabitants of this land. And we really want to make certain that we pay respects to their elders, past and present, and take time, please take time, to reflect on the legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that brings us here today. So yesterday, again, full day, we heard from policymakers, philanthropists, practitioners, and more importantly, we heard from parents. And centered us on, the values of Ascend, that we really want to always center the voices and recommendations of parents. We have parent advisors. I acknowledged them briefly in my remarks as I was closing yesterday, but I really want to give a full-hearted acknowledgement of our parent advisors. So they are here. I'm going to ask them to come up. Here they are, and introduce themselves. So these are the parent advisors. Yep, come here, come here.
I'm coming.
Yeah. Okay, we met Nelson yesterday, but I would love for all of these parent advisors who are informing Ascend's work, but also informing your work. You have an opportunity to meet these folks, ask them questions about how you're designing your programs, and make certain that we're listening to the recommendations. So each one of them will share their name, where they're from, and a little bit about what the organization is that they're working with. So Nelson, please.
Hi, my name is Nelson. Good morning. So I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Hi. And what I do with the organization is we do like monthly meetings, and we just kind of discuss what could benefit us as parents and what resources we might be needing help with. And we have one coming up, I think, on Wednesday, so I'm excited for that one. It's always fun speaking with all the peers and everything as well.
Hello, everybody. My name is Elmira Marcus Garcia. My name is pronounced like Elmira, for those of you who need help pronouncing it. I am from Oquewingue Pueblo, New Mexico. It was formerly known as San Juan Pueblo, but we reclaimed our name to mean place of the strong people. I am a co-founder of Project Impact, or Invincible Mamas Pushing Action and Change Together. We're a project under National Crittenton. We have been going for about 4 years now, and we are pushing a national alliance of 100 young moms. So if you guys would take the time to network with me to grow our network, we would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tamika Henry. I'm here from Las Vegas, Nevada. I was a parent with the Oscillero Learning Clark County Head Start program, and now I am the chairperson of their board of directors. I am truly proof that bold investments into generation work, it works. Head Start works. These investments work. Um, I I was a parent who had young children in the program when I started. I'm what they call an OG parent advisor, right? And so my youngest daughter is, well, my oldest daughter is now a sophomore in college. And so this work is so important. And now I've transcended my work into the Abodo Collective, where we're really fighting multi generational poverty by way of a two-generation approach. So this investment works, and I'm taking the work with me to empower and inspire other parents. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Janine McMahon, and I am from Hartford, Connecticut. And I think my quote was, Yay, Hartford! So I think my quote was shared yesterday. I had the honor and privilege to be in this very space almost 5 years to the day. It's actually 4 years and 10 months, but who's counting? And I sat on this panel and I had the ability to give my final remarks. And I encouraged everyone to not just meet people where they are, but to also meet them where they dream. And thank you. And so now I am getting to live my dream. I'm currently working for the National Parent Leadership Institute. And yes, I literally started in February of this year. I am their operations and special initiatives specialist. So I get to work on the operations of the organization and make sure we're a well-oiled machine doing this capacity building work with organizations, but also building the capacity of parents to sit at the table and make these decisions that are impacting families in the community. So I'm excited because not only do I get to tell you to meet people where they dream, I get to live my dream and pay it back as well. So thank you so much, Asen, for inviting me to be a parent advisor. I was one of the OGs with Tamika back in 2018, and I'm so excited for all of the work that's being done. The last thing I'll share is when Nat spoke yesterday about reframing and frameworks, it made me think of the work that we did together, Tamika. We had this moniker of how we wanted to kind of like explain who the parent student is within the educational platform, whether it's in a certificate program or a degree program. And we thought of a parent riser, right? And that is a resilient individual secure in education, raising scholars. And so we reframed who that parent student was, and that's the moniker that we came up with. So I encourage you to do a little reframing of the work that you're doing, and yes, meet people where they dream.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Valeria Martinez, and I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I am partnered with Southwest Creations, and they basically help Latin families like their path to college and any further jobs if they need to. And yes, I'm a mom of 2 boys, 2 and 1, so busy.
Good morning. I'm Christian. I'm from New York. I work for a program called the CUNY Fatherhood Academy. We work with young men ages 18 to 30. I was a student there. I'm now the mentor coordinator there and just giving back, assisting fathers, loving their kids. We assist them with GED, college and career preparation, getting the better jobs that they want, but also mental and emotional, and also some financial, diapers, wipes, whatever they need for their kids. Yeah, and now I'm blessed to be here, learning on the other side, opposed to like getting my hands dirty. So now we're like, how do we create this and give back to that? So I'm not an OG, I'm new, but I'm blessed to be here with you guys and learn. And I'm just I'm not excited as excited as you, but I'm excited. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jessica Pelton. I am at I live in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Recent alumni of the University of Michigan, and I work. I work at the University of Michigan as the student caregiver coordinator. So I work with student parents and caregivers. We work on like policy change and creating resources. I fell into it by just trying to advocate for my own needs. I have a daughter with health issues, and I was an older student. She was an older child. She was 6 when I started college, but like almost none of the resources fit students like me. So I wanted to change that and advocate for, I was a student parent too, I should have access to. And that's how I got into this work as well. So.
Judge Drayton Jackson out of Kitsap County, Washington. And it's the other Washington, a little bit out of Seattle, Washington. But co-founder and founder of the Foundation for Homeless and Poverty Management. And sitting on this board, sitting and watching everybody and hearing from everybody, there's so much that I got to, take from. Because what started my foundation was seeing everybody that was younger than me do it. So as all of these scholars were sitting there and their dreams were coming through, it made me, I never thought about the word parent in forms of being a student. So that changed and reframed all of the hardship that I went through. It gave me a little bit of release to say that, yeah, it was not easy doing it. So my foundation now deals with a 2-generational approach with everything we do. We bought property, we got into development because we were waiting for people to do it, but they kept doing it without that 2-generational approach. So everything that we do at the foundation now for homeless people and people in poverty comes with that whole thing is what can we do for the children as well as with the parents, but then also leading them together. And it has worked tremendously. So Ascend has taught me so much in putting that policies and everything that we do with people with lived experience on our board and in our work that we do.
Thank you. Thank you, parent advisors. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So listening to the voices and recommendations of parents is one of the 5 core principles of taking a 2-generation approach. We believe this is the starting point for taking a 2-generation approach. And I just want to go into a little bit of depth about what those 5 principles are. And we're also going to have a poll. Again, I mentioned this earlier. We're going to have a poll on what you will be focusing on as a principal in your work in the next 6 months. So the first principle is the one that truly distinguishes a 2-generation approach from all other approaches that you might take. And that is, at its highest level, you are measuring and accounting for outcomes for both children and their parents or their adult caregivers at the same time, right? That's a really high, significant bar to meet. And as you're doing your learning and evaluation of your programs, your practices, your policies, getting there is where we want to make certain that we have the tools and the resources to do that. And Ascend has developed a number of them. So the second principle is the one that I was just demonstrating to you, right? Listen to the voices of parents and their recommendations. This means in the design of your program or policy, the implementation of your program or policy, and the assessment of your program or policy, right? And so the third principle is really focused on equity, and we're talking about racial, gender, and economic equity. And the fourth principle is fostering innovation and evidence together. And you'll see that reflected throughout our convenings and in our materials, right? We really want to make certain that we're iterating, we're learning around 2-generation approaches, and we're building on the evidence that we know works. And last but not least, and this is really difficult, but the reason why we always have systems leaders and policymakers in our conversations is because aligning these systems and linking funding streams is critical. There's not one single funding stream that is going to, really embrace a 2-generation approach holistically. We're going to try to move in that direction, but making certain that you're aligning these systems so that they're seamless for families is very, very important. So those are the 5 principles, and we're going to do a poll. So they're going to show the QR code up on the screen. And we would love to know what is the principle that you're going to focus on, you yourself in your position, over the next 6 months. So could you please pull up that slide again with the QR code? Oh, it's up there. So, and this is a live poll. How exciting is that? Wonderful, wonderful. We'll keep it up and we'll share the final results with you. But we have a lot to do to operationalize these principles. And the momentum that is already demonstrated by people in this room, but across the country and now around the world, among practitioners and policymakers and researchers to advance two-generation approaches is really centered in these principles. They're a helpful frame for doing your work. Again, you know, most of the principles, 4 of them, you can use regardless of what program or policy, but if you're distinguishing yourself from a two-generation approach, it's the very first one, measuring and accounting for outcomes for both children and their parents or adult caregivers at the same time. So, next, I want to center us on what we call the two-gen core components. And these are the elements, all of the programs, policies, practices that families need to thrive. And you'll notice if you've been following Ascend for a while, these have been built out, right? We originally started with 4, the very beginning when Ascend was launched. Then we really specifically added a core component around health and mental health and well-being. We've always said that social capital is the secret sauce of doing a two-generation approach, and that frankly means making certain that families have the ability to build a community so that they can navigate systems and policies and programs for themselves. It's bridging them together and helping them forward, you know, their own community. So secret sauce is social capital. We've added recently this K-12 component because what we're realizing is not only are these the elements, you know, supports, opportunities, desires that families have, but these are also systems and platforms to build a two-generation approach. And there's a lot happening in communities around two-generation approaches in the K-12 system or within schools. DC has an amazing public charter school, BRIA, and I believe, and someone can check me on this, I believe it's probably the only school in the country that actually has two-generation programming, evaluation, and they've worked with DC government to actually allow their funding to be used in a two-generation way. Right? So we're looking at these innovations and sharing them with you so that you can think very holistically about the programs supports that, you know, families need. So finally, I want to share with you what we see as a continuum for doing two-generation approaches. This is really important. We wanted to be able to delineate how people start thinking about two-generation approaches, and then what's the highest level of doing a two-generation approach. Because you heard from Anne and other panelists yesterday, our North Star is family prosperity, right? Economic mobility and well-being. We believe a two-generation approach is a way to get there, a very effective and efficient way to get there, but people have lots of different strategies. If you're in this movement of doing two-generation approaches, realize that it's a continuum about the way in which you think about doing your work and how you partner with others. So first, it's about the mindset. Are you really thinking about programs and policies that support families holistically, moving away from the silos of, you know, delivering just child services or adult-focused services? and that holistic support. So that's a mindset, that's a starting place. And many of our network partners are there. We're providing technical assistance and resources so that they can really deepen their work and strategies. So the next level really truly is a strategy. And many of our network partners are centered here, where they're working in their communities to collaborate so that they may be providing supports for just the children, but they're aware of the needs and aspirations of the parents, and the parents are getting served in other places, right? That's a 2-generation strategy. But at its highest level, again, intentionality, duration is about making certain that the organization or the system, state agencies, or even at the federal level, have the structures internally, right, to make certain that you can better support the entire family. So what might this look like? If you have a community-based organization, oftentimes you may have 20 or 60 different programs, right? How does that family experience your organization, right? If they're coming to receive, supports and services through a Head Start program, are you aware if the adult, the parent is connected to your workforce development program, right? So you have a common intake form. You're talking to your parents on a regular basis about their aspirations, their dreams, and their opportunities, right? So I wanted to make certain that, as we start today, keep these things in mind, and where we have tools and resources, we can point you to that, either on our website, talk to you. There's lots of ascenders around, make certain that you're connecting with them about these different, kind of approaches and thinking that we have around 2-generation.